Hello, hello. Welcome back to Dagic, Magic the Universe and Everything. We're here with another rendition episode. Will I put it in my deck? I'm your host of this little series, Jeremy Hayes. I'm going to do a little bit differently than I did it last time. Um, Usually I just show a card on screen and talk about which deck I want to put it into. This time there was a couple cards from Modern Horizons 3 that were spoiled over the last few days, couple days, that I think would go really well in my Narci Fable Singer deck. Um, Mostly, all of them enchantments, all of them black. But Narci is one of my enchantment decks. It's I love enchantments. This deck's fantastic just because of that. Oh, Narci, let's go with that first. Narci is a 3/3 lifelink, which is the lifelink's great. For one, a white, a black, and a green. Whenever you sacrifice an enchantment, draw a card. That's what I built the deck around. Is that line of text there? I don't really care about the sagas bit. There are no sagas in the deck. They sacrifice too slow to really take a benefit out of Narci. I built a deck with a lot of enchantments that can sacrifice themselves before an effect, along with some other enchantment outlets. It wins with a combo of Ortog is one of them. Faith Healer is actually that one's actually decent, but Ortog and some kind of enchantment sack outlet, Oblivion Ring and Sun Titan, and then some kind of enchantment win con, usually from Guardian. So Sun Titan comes in, brings back the Oblivion Ring exiles Sun Titan, then you sack the Oblivion Ring to your Artog. Sun Titan comes back in, brings back Oblivion Ring. There's a couple different renditions of that, but that's the basics. That's the basic common way to win this deck. And then with Grim Guardian out, it drains everybody. But that's how I built it, and no sagas, just sacrificing enchantments to draw cards. You get value coming in with enchantment ETBs, enchantresses, and then value going out with whatever kind of effect that they have. The Seal of Primordium kind of effects. The seals are in here. So they come in, draw cards, make tokens, whatever it is. Then you sacrifice and destroy something, and then Narci's out and you draw a card. So it's just value all over the place. That being said about sagas, the first card we're going to talk about is a saga. So this is the Creation of Avacyn enchantment saga for 1 and 2 black. It's a tutor that sacks itself and puts it on the battlefield. So it's not a great. We've had these delayed tutors before, right? And they're just not as good as the Demonic Tutor, obviously, the Vampiric Tutor. But this is a card I'm considering, just because it's a black enchantment that sacrifices itself. And that's decent in Narci. So the first saga here, the first lore, first chapter, what they called. Switch life for a card, exile face down. Okay, great. 2. That's another downside of this card. It's slow, and then if it gets removed, you just exiled a card that you wanted. So 2, turn the exiled card face up. If it's a creature card, you lose life equal to its mana value. So if you don't search for a creature, which I see there's enchantments that get, you don't lose any life. But if you do look for a creature, if it's a win con, it doesn't matter how much life you lost. So yeah, decent. Last chapter, you may put the exiled card onto the battlefield. If it's a creature card, If you don't put it onto the battlefield, put it into your hand. So, added benefit there for the creature. Good to go get Sun Titan for free. Sun Titan would get this back. Well, after sacrifice after chapter 3. So maybe not. Maybe it wouldn't get it back. It depends on when it would sacrifice. If it goes to 3, does the effect and sacrifices itself. Because you stack those triggers. I don't know. But just a card I'm considering. Don't really have a spot for it right now, but it would work in the deck. All of these cards would work in the deck. I have a lot of cards in here that I do like. Each one has a function. So I'm not sure if I will put this in the deck. I probably won't, just for the reasons I described. It's a saga, so it takes too long to sacrifice itself. It's a delayed tutor, which, I mean, if you're on a budget, I don't even know how much the card is, how much worth, what the price of this card is. But if you're not trying to buy demonic tutor, this can't be more than demonic tutor. And it's a tutor. It is a tutor. But probably a little slow for Narci. The next card is actually rather interesting. Charitable Levy. It's just a white enchantment for one. Oh, I said they're all black. They're not. This one's white. Charitable Levy. So this is 1/1 white enchantment. Non-creature spells cost 1 more to cast. So we've had that effect before on Thalia's. Thalia's just the one Thalia. We've had this effect before, making amethyst. I can't say it. The thorn of amethyst. The gem, the stone. I can't say the word. So it's the good effects. They're not bad effects. Problem is for an enchantment deck. Now, there's a lot of enchantment creatures in Narci, so it wouldn't be that bad. But there are also a lot of just enchantments. It does slow down my opponents, but only for a little bit, because the next paragraph here. Whenever a player casts a non-creature spell, put a collection counter on Charitable Levy. If there are 3 or more collection counters on it, sacrifice it. If you do, draw a card. Then you may search your library for a Plans card, put it on the back of the tap, then shuffle. So 3 spells could be your own, but then again, in Narci, this is an enchantment that sacrifices itself. I get a land and I draw a card. If Narci, I draw 2 cards, while slowing down my opponents. But again, it's interesting. I thought about it for my Sithis deck, which again is an enchantment deck. There's a lot of. I don't think I'm going to put this in here. It's an interesting card. It's cool. It'll work in the deck. It sacks itself. All that. It's a lot of value there, while slowing down your opponents. Maybe one player won't cast their non-creature spells, so they don't want to be taxed. Thinking, well, the next player will, they'll cast 2 or 3. By the time it gets around to me, it'll be gone. And then all the other opponents have been taxed. So you got one player not to cast any spells, and another player to cast those spells for more. But we'll see if that might happen or not. Who knows? Again, like I said, probably not going in the deck. Just thought it was a really cool card to talk about. Next one, Mindless Conscription. I do like this. So this is a 2 and a black for enchantment. Whenever it enters the battlefield, and whenever you draw your 3rd card each turn, amass zombies 3. So enchantments don't have a lot of good creatures. If you're playing an enchantress deck, and the creatures you do have, you really want to keep around, mostly. So this is a great just throwaway, rather big blocker. It's a 3/3. It's not that big, but it's not a 1/1. It's got some meat to it. And then if you draw your 3rd card, which you're doing in an enchantress deck, you're gonna draw your 3rd card. It's now a 6/6. So this is it doesn't sacrifice itself, but in Narci, if I get that sack outlet, I can sacrifice this. I can play it, comes in, it gets that value. It already gets me a 3/3. It may draw other cards. So yeah, if you have another enchantress in this deck and you cast this, there's 2 cards. You draw for turn, and the enchantress effect when you cast this. There's 2 cards. There's 2 draws already. So that's amazing. You're gonna get your 3rd one. If not that turn, the next turn for sure. Or if you can sacrifice, if you have an enchantment sack outlet like Artog or Faith Healer, you sack this thing, or you sack a different enchantment first, right? This thing goes off. Now it's a 6/6, so that's not even a blocker anymore. I mean, it is a blocker, but you're going to attack with a 6/6. And the idea is that you sacrifice all your enchantments, and then you play a replenish effect, which is 4 of in the deck. Get them all back, get all that value back. Now that 6/6 is a 9/9. It's just a good value piece that does stuff coming in, cares about leaving, and cares about coming back in, which is what the deck wants to do. And if it just sits there and it makes a 12/12, I'm not upset. So I might actually look for a spot in the deck for this card. I like it enough to maybe take another card out. Not sure what card yet, but it's cool. I like it. I like the blocker. It's the throwaway 3/3 blocker. Is really really good. Next card, Quest for Necropolis. For 1 black and enchantment landfall. Whenever land enters the battlefield under your control, put a quest counter on Quest for Necropolis. Pay 5 and a black to sacrifice it and put target creature card, target creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. This ability costs 1 less to activate for each quest counter on Quest for the Necropolis. So there's plenty of play extra lands in enchantments. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I have. I have Gaia's Touch because it sacrifices itself. I'm not sure if I have an Exploration, Burgeoning. You know, the classics. But this could cost 2 or 3. This, and I believe the next card. Not the next card. But this in the last card we're going to talk about. I actually do have 2 replacements for. So see the landfall though. It's whatever land is whatever. One problem with the deck, right, is it wins with 2 creatures, Sun Titan and Renegade Rallier is the other one. If they go into the graveyard, the deck focuses on getting enchantments back, right? Not creatures. So I don't have a lot of ways to return creatures. 2 ways are that I have an Omen of the Dead, and the other way is Nyx Weaver. I don't like Nyx Weaver because it mills cards, which isn't terrible. That's why I talk about the one card that we're going to talk about, mills cards, and you can get them back. And I think I'm going to take Nyx Weaver out for this one card that we're going to talk about. Then you can pay 1, a black and a green, to exile Nyx Weaver. It's a 2/3 creature. To return target card from your graveyard to your hand. So there's a way to get creatures back. The other one, Omen of the Dead, it's just an enchantment with flash. When it enters the battlefield, return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. So I played this card out where it was just dead. Like it cost 1 black. This cost 1 black. And I've played Omen of the Dead out just to use my mana, have an enchantment out later to sacrifice or for a Sanctum Weaver. And it's wasted. So it's either a dead card or I actually play it. Quest for Necropolis, I can play first turn. I want to play it first turn, actually. And that's the other downside, right? If I play this 6th turn, I'm not getting my Sun Titan back for quite some time. I would probably have 6 mana by then, but activating lands as sorcery isn't great. You want to have, 4 counters on this thing before you can sacrifice it? Paying 2, I'd pay 2. That sounds good. 3 is a bit much. But I might take Omen of the Dead out for a Quest for another Necropolis just to see how it plays, that early game versus late game kind of effect here. Because Omen of the Dead then sacrifices itself for 3. You sacrifice it and scry 2. This sacrifice for 3, get a creature back. Hopefully, right after 3 turns. Omen of the Dead is just 1 to get the creature back. So, I'll consider it. For sure. Next card, Ripples of Undeath. It's 1 and a black for an enchantment. Oh, this is the card. This is the card I was talking about. At the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, mill 3 cards. So 1 more card than Nyx Weaver. Then you pay 1 and 3 life. Narci's a 3/3 with lifelink. I know it's not always going to matter, but 3 life's nothing. If you do, put a card from among those cards into your hand. When I first looked at this card, I was comparing it to Slytherin Library. Yes, you get to keep all 3 cards in Slytherin Library. You don't have to pay for them. You take a lot more life. But it's still like at that beginning of your turn, you get to look at 3 different cards. So the problem with this is if it's a creature, right? Cool. I pay 1. I get my Sun Titan back if that's what I really want, or I get my Replenish effect back in my hand. So I get the cards that I leave the enchantments in the graveyard because I can get them back, right? But this allows me to get, the Ortog that I just milled back into my hand. So it's essentially, again, it's drawing 3 cards is what it's doing. You don't get to use 1 right away. But this one I do like. This one I want to stick in for Nyx Weaver. It's a cost 1 less because Nyx Weaver costs 1. Costs 3. 1 a black and a green. But I like this guy. I like him. Especially in my Narci deck. I will be getting him. I will be putting it in the deck. Or maybe for Omen of the Dead. I don't know. Maybe Omen of the Dead. Definitely next Weaver. This card is interesting. So like I said before with the Guide of Souls video, I like that they're doing energy. It's something Nightmare for 1 and a black enchantment. When something Nightmare enters the battlefield, you get 3 energy. Pay X energy and sacrifice a creature. Return it to its owner. Return something Nightmare to its owner's hand. Return target creature card with mana value X from your graveyard to the battlefield. Activate only as a sorcery. So this comes back to my hand, which is cool. I like that. Because I can be casted. And it gets me back my creatures. And yeah, I need to pay 6 energy to get Sun Titan back. But again, with the sacrificing the enchantment, like this is, again, I come in, I get 3 energy, it sits there, I can get a creature back. Later on, if I want to sacrifice it, with a sack outlet, the Narci's out, or Firmer of Enchantress is out, I can sack this thing, draw a card, player, after sacking a bunch of other enchantments, player replenish effect, get this back, and I do have 6 energy. And as other creatures, I mean, Sanctum Reaver costs 2, both enchantment sack outlets cost 2. What's the guy? Shigeki costs 2, so it gives me the energy to get back a lot of creatures. Sacrificing that first creature, yeah, that might be an issue. I don't have a whole lot of plain enchantment get creature cards in this deck. That's obviously a very good way to do things, but I mean, it's not bad though. I like it. It's the energy intrigues me. It has an ETB effect as an enchantment also, and so it's cool. I might want to test this out. I might put this in. I gotta find a spot for it. Like I said, I got a spot. I definitely got a spot for Ripples of Undeath. 3-eyed bastards going in. Crest of Necropolis is cool. I need to see if I'm paying 4 all the time. Goes back. Oh, onto the battlefield. This is why I should read cards. Put target creature card onto the battlefield. So you're not. I'm thinking it goes back to your hand, then you gotta recast it. No. And can I get this card back with a Sun Titan or with the Renegade Rally? Okay, this is back up for debate, just because it goes right to the battlefield. 6 to bring a Sun Titan back is a good rate because it costs 6 to begin with. I'm glad I came back to this. I'm going to consider this just an inch more, a little bit more. And then mindless conscriptions, I kind of do want to try to get a spot, and it seems fun. I mean, I think either mindless conscriptions or Kratothian Nightmare, or that one of those two. Definitely this guy. And I like him now. I like you, Mr. Dead Body Tomb Place. Yeah. All right. That's it. Thank you for joining us for Will I Put It in My Deck. We got a couple maybes, a couple meh. 1 or maybe 2. Yes, for sure. Thanks for joining. I'll see you next time on Will I Put It in My Deck. See ya.